It's recording. All right. Live.
All right.
Just grab a pen.
All right. So yesterday you were doing a lesson with your student on inferencing,
Yes.
and you introed the stop and jot strategy.
Yes.
And this is because in the pre-conference you're telling me he reads through information and it would benefit your student to stop and think about different parts of the story.
Yes.
Okay, I think that you did a really nice job introducing the strategy. You asked him right off the bat, what do you think stop and jot means? He got the stop, the jot, he thought we were jogging somewhere.
Yes.
But what I liked is that you didn't just tell him he was wrong. You kept asking clarifying questions and prompting him to refine his answer by giving him little clues until he understood that jot meant that he was going to be writing something down. So I really like that you didn't say, no, you're going to be writing. So it was nice for him to kind of work through it, because when he goes through the text, he's going to say stop and jot. Oh, I have to write something down. So I really like that. Do you think that the strategy worked for your student?
I'm hoping that it does. You know, the next step was really, I gave a lot of scripted questions to kind of have him stop and reflect. And hopefully today, when he starts to do it more independently, he'll be able to either ask himself a question as he's reading, or he'll be able to just take some notes down about what's important.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of see this strategy progressing, where it's more in his hands.
Okay. I like that you said that today, or you hope over the course of the time, that he's going to become more independent. Because one thing I noticed about your lesson, it went from a teacher model, which was excellent, because not only did you model the strategy, but you were modeling how to read fluently, read with expression, stop at punctuation, which I think read alouds should do for students.
Right.
But I also like that it went from teacher model to you working together with your student, and then you releasing the responsibility to your student and actually letting him work with the strategy, but still kind of watching what he's doing.
Right.
So I like that you were able to kind of release that to him gradually without just, throwing him to the wolves. So I like that part of it. When you were asking Matt about what we can infer, do you feel like he understands what that word infer means? Or, because I like to use vocabulary specific words with my students. Do you think he grasps the concept of inferencing? I like the word, not necessarily the skill.
Yeah, and I think the more he gets exposure, because 2 days ago when I asked him, "Have you ever heard of inferencing?" he said no.
Okay.
So I think the more exposures that he gets to hearing inferencing, and if I continue to use it with him, when we're doing reading, I think that he'll start to pick it up and make that connection. That okay, well, when I'm using my background knowledge and I'm using the context clues, because he was doing that a lot yesterday.
Yeah, he was.
I think once he figures out that, hey, that's making inference, that will help him out. And again, I hope that he starts to become more independent in the strategy, and at the same time identify questions that might require him to make inferences.
Okay.
Back with the CRI, I think that was the biggest thing, were the questions that were really inferential. He was kind of trying to give a literal answer. That was right in the text, but they're not there.
Right. So maybe just working with some question-answer relationships.
Yes.
Okay. What I liked most about your interaction with Matthew was when you were trying to lead him to saying that the character was thirsty, because it took a little bit to get him there, but you were asking really great questions to lead him down that road. You were trying to activate some kind of background knowledge, some kind of prior knowledge, to help him understand why the character's tongue was dry. So I really like that you didn't get frustrated, and you led him down the road with clarifying questions. And the same with the skyscrapers and Egypt comparison. Even though he didn't seem too familiar with skyscrapers, you were giving him examples of places he may have been.
Right.
And describing what the buildings look like so that you could give him background knowledge so he can make that connection. So I really like that. And I thought that your independent directions, you explained those well. They were not wordy. It was, this is what you're doing. And he was able to answer that question. And it was a 2-part question, correct?
Yes.
One of those parts, I think you redirected him to the text, which I like. So you didn't say, no, you're wrong. You said, here, let's look at it again, and redirected him to the text where he found the correct answer. So I thought that worked out really well. And you have great patience because you were not frustrated. Is there anything that Matt did that was surprising to you? Did you think he was going to perform better on one part, or you didn't think he was going to grasp some kind of concept that he did?
Yeah, I think just his ability, I guess, really to use the clues when he's prompted, and just kind of maybe wording the question a little bit differently. I was surprised that he answered them so complete, and he gave evidence with certain questions. And just looking back on his sticky notes, I saw like his answers, like they did have a lot of detail. One area I want to continue though, and I think this was the area of need as well, is just expanding, like giving more detail. Because I felt like he would, on certain questions, he would give a few details, and then just leave it at that without kind of supporting his answer. So, not only making inferences now, but how can we expand on the answers that we're given?
Right. So are you saying you want him to start using some evidence from the text?
Correct.
Okay. Which I think he can absolutely do, because he's able to look through the text, answer the question, from what I saw, answer the question, and then he stops. So that's a great next step. Is that where you see your next couple lessons going?
Yeah, moving towards that direction where
Okay.
now, we go from the inferencing to, I can use stop and jot on my own when I'm reading just for comprehension, and now I can make an inference and support it with evidence from the text.
Okay. Anything about the lesson that you felt you would do differently if you could do it again?
I think just with the direct instruction in the beginning, because I felt like he caught on really fast, but I feel like I could have gave him a few more examples.
Okay.
And then maybe even use different materials than the book, because I think he was more excited to read the book. And that's why he was kind of like a little jumpy at the beginning, like trying to get right into it.
Okay.
So I'd probably maybe use maybe either a worksheet or just a little excerpt,
Okay.
something unfamiliar, and really model it.
Yeah, I like that you're, adjusting and you're being flexible with your lessons and saying, maybe that didn't work, let's try something else. So I really like you're coming up with alternatives. So you're really reflecting on how your student's performing and how you're performing. So that's really just going to make him, I almost made my thought. Make him grasp that concept better. Do you think you will continue to use stop and jot, or are you going to try to grab from different kinds of strategies for inferencing?
I definitely want to continue to use it in some aspects, just so he has enough familiar, just so he's familiar enough with the strategy where, he might try to call on that, eventually. So that's what I'm hoping to do. So that's one tool he'll have when he goes into 4th grade.
Okay. I don't know how to end that. What
Yeah.
was there?
Cool.
Anything else that you need from me?
that's
I feel like
everything.
somebody would ask that.
No, I think you did a really nice job.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give this back to you in
Coach,
case you want to
thank you.
use it for your portfolio.
Cool, thank you.
But I wrote in purple pen, sorry.